Imagine, if you will, a person, maybe a young child, or perhaps a group of children, spending a nice day at the beach. They're having a grand old time, tossing around some sand, running and yelling around, splashing carelessly in the water. Then, one takes a wrong step. Their foot plunges deep, and within an instant, the grasp of the sea has dragged them far, far below, hundreds of feet from the shore. They drown. Yes, we've all heard stories like this. Maybe it's happened to someone you knew yourself. The unfortunate truth is, that is an all too common occurrence. Clearly, something is wrong here. But can anything even be done about this? Should anything be done if, in the process, it risks everything we hold dear? This is a question I've been asking myself a lot, and I have to finally put my foot down. The answer is no. Let me explain. I can hear your protestations, and I do understand. It's obviously awful, the fact that so many people are drowning, that the seas are darkening, that coastal cities are being dragged beneath the waves, that hospital beds are filled up with record numbers of patients coughing up black, inky bile. The writing on the walls is clear, I hear the comments screeching. The earth is headed to a flooded grave. That's a fair point. And I would be remiss if I didn't address the cause of all of this. The Captain Hydraulis. It's true that the rise of Hydraulis has correlated with all these issues with the seas. However, when it comes to the argument that the captain is a cruel, heartless tyrant who must be deposed, people take a very black and white sort of approach to it. But when it comes to the truth, things are rarely as simple as that. People who say we must turn the tide on the Captain Hydraulis fail to consider many other crucial factors of the equation. Sure, it's a travesty that so many people are being infected with the sea blight. And yes, it's easy enough to put all the blame on the captain for everything bad that ever happened. But in reality, the world's just always been a dangerous place. Our ancient ancestors feared the sea too, drowning quite often. Waterborne illnesses have always existed too. The sea blight is just another disease along the lines of dysentery or cholera, for example. So how has Hydraulis changed anything, really? Yes, of course, there's always a lot of things to complain about, but only focusing on the bad takes away focus from the positive. Take, for instance, the fact that there have been less wildfires ever since the rise of Hydraulis, that rebuilding homes for the inhabitants of submerged neighborhoods is a great source of jobs, that, on the whole, the economy has been booming. So, for all the faults, there is still a silver lining. Now, let's compare the rise of Hydraulis, with all the good and the bad considered, to the alternative. What would happen, say, if the revolution was successful, and the captain all but vanished overnight? Well, we would be ushered into even darker times. When we talk about deposing Hydraulis, what exactly does that entail? What world is being fought for. Why, if Hydraulis' power was diminished in any way whatsoever, we can be sure that winter would fall upon the land. This is because the alternative to Hydraulis would come about in the harsh dictates of Polis. You think a few drownings are bad? A few sunk cities? Well then, just think about how bad it would be to suffer the rule of a President Polis. We're talking endless winter here. People freezing in the streets, freezing in their homes at night while they're trying to sleep. Cities crushed under great glaciers. The entire world strangled by ice. Not so nice, is it? So, no, I do not think Captain Hydraulis is bad enough to justify these calls to basically bring Comrade Colesness into power. That would be absolutely idiotic. People who support the charge to remove Hydraulis are arguing from a point that is not rooted in reality. They live in some wonderland where nothing bad ever happens and everything is just fandy-dandy. But that's not the real world. There is no world in which we can overcome the might of Hydraulis. Any attempts to do so are absolute futility. But the great thing about humanity is that we can change. We can adapt. Much like the shifting seas, we can endure hardship by simply evolving our habits to accommodate what we need to do to survive. Anyone who refuses to adapt, who is content to be stubbornly stagnant, will be broken against the coast, like a solid chunk of ice.